Most riders think Honda reliable means cheap and stress-free to own. It doesn't. 10 Hondas on this list carry that same reputation, but some can still become expensive, demanding, or poorly matched purchases if they don't fit how you actually ride. Get that wrong once, and you're financing the mistake for years. By the end of this list, you'll know exactly which Hondas earned that reputation and which ones are just borrowing it. Honda backs the Goldwing with a 3-year, transferable, unlimited mileage warranty. The same company builds the CRF300L, a street-legal performance dual sport that requires much more maintenance discipline than Honda's relaxed street and small dual sport models. Same badge, 2 completely different ownership contracts. Many riders who shop on reputation alone don't see that gap coming until they've already signed the paperwork. They assume Honda guarantees the same experience everywhere in the lineup. It doesn't. That gap is exactly what separates the smart buys on this list from the expensive lessons. Here's exactly what's happening, bike by bike, and what it means for you. CRF300L. So why does a genuinely capable dirt bike open this list at the bottom instead of climbing it? Because capability and ownership fit are not the same thing. The CRF300L is a real off-road machine, based on Honda's high-performance CRF450 off-road platform. Serious, technically capable, priced at $10,099 manufacturer's suggested retail price, plus $600 destination. None of that is in question. What is in question is who actually enjoys owning it. This bike comes with high maintenance expectations that go hand in hand with serious dirt performance, not because it's unreliable, but because serious off-road performance usually asks more of an owner than a relaxed dual sport does. More attention to service intervals, more wear from hard riding, and less tolerance for neglect. Riders who buy it specifically for that kind of commitment are more likely to accept it. Riders who buy it because it's a Honda, so it'll be easy, are the ones most likely to get frustrated once the maintenance schedule, off-road wear, and ownership commitment become real. Remember that distinction, wanting the commitment versus assuming it'll be easy, because it's about to show up again on a much more expensive motorcycle, and then one more time on a dirt bike that gets it right. That's the CRF300L, a highly capable machine, and the easiest bike on this list to buy for the wrong reason. Africa Twin. Here's that same ownership trap again, except this time the entry price jumps by several $1,000s. The Africa Twin starts at $15,199, climbs to $15,999 for the DCT version, and tops out at $18,599 for the Adventure Sports ES DCT. It's a serious long-distance adventure platform, real capability for riders who actually ride it the way it's built to be ridden. That's not nothing. For the right owner, this is one of Honda's most serious adventure motorcycles. So does that kind of capability earn it an automatic top 3 spot? Not on this list, and this is the CRF300L lesson again, just with more zeros attached. Bigger, faster, and more expensive doesn't automatically mean better ownership. This bike is heavy, more complex than smaller Hondas, and, like plenty of machines on the market, it's had recalls along the way. That's not a reason to write it off. Recalls are a VIN check issue, not proof a bike is bad. It is, however, a reason to slow down before assuming price and spec sheet alone should decide where a bike lands here. Weight, complexity, and cost can stack up quickly if you buy the bike for image rather than actual ADV use. Excellent adventure bike, but not the best ownership decision for riders who don't genuinely need a large ADV motorcycle. Goldwing. This is where the list gets uncomfortable, because we're about to rank Honda's flagship touring motorcycle below a $6,499 dual sport, and in a few minutes, below a $3,599 Grom. The Goldwing has a long-standing reputation as Honda's flagship touring motorcycle. In standard Goldwing trim, it brings a 1,833 cubic centimeter flat 6, a listed 806-pound curb weight, a 5.5-gallon tank, and that 3-year transferable unlimited mileage warranty, we open this video with, long-distance touring riders often report very high satisfaction with the Goldwing. So why isn't it near the top of an ownership ranking? Because this isn't a ranking of Honda's best motorcycle. It's a ranking of Honda's best motorcycle to own, and those are two different questions. Reliability is not the main reason to hesitate before buying one. The bigger question is whether you actually need a motorcycle this expensive, this heavy, and this specialized. The Goldwing's price and weight aren't a flaw in the bike, they're a filter. That filter removes many casual buyers from its own ownership pool, and it's exactly what keeps a genuinely great motorcycle out of the top half of this list. None of that makes it a lesser motorcycle, it makes it a specialist's motorcycle, and specialists are a small slice of the riders watching this video. Everyone else just thinks they want one because of the name on the tank. Legendary bike, just not a legendary ownership decision for riders who don't actually tour. If ranking Honda's own Flagship this low feels wrong, stick around, because it gets more controversial from here. Subscribe if you want the full list, and drop a comment with the Honda you currently ride and where you think it should land. Transalp E-Clutch. Now here's a bike I can't fully rank yet, and I'd rather tell you that than pretend otherwise. The Transalp E-Clutch is priced at $10,199 manufacturer, suggested retail price, plus $600 destination, built around a 755 cubic centimeter engine, with Honda's E-Clutch technology giving riders clutchless control without going fully automatic. Manual gear selection remains, while the system can reduce clutch lever use and clutch fatigue in traffic. At that price, it's a competitive middleweight adventure option, and the versatility is real. Here's the catch. Long-term US ownership data on this bike is still developing. That's not a red flag, it's just honest. We're not going to tell you this bike is fully proven after a couple of years on the market, because it isn't. Not yet. That uncertainty is exactly why it sits in the middle of this list instead of higher. Promising value, real technology, but not enough ownership history behind it yet to rank with full confidence. Shadow Phantom. Compare that uncertainty to this next bike, which has almost none. The Shadow Phantom. ABS is an $8,699 cruiser plus $600 for destination, built around a 745 cubic centimeter V-twin. Its biggest strength isn't excitement, it's simplicity. It offers relatively low-stress cruiser ownership with a simple, mature mechanical layout. Owners looking for a simple cruiser are less likely to be chasing major upgrades or cutting-edge tech. The trade-off is obvious the moment you sit on it. It feels dated next to the more versatile, more modern machines still ahead on this list. It is not designed to match the cornering clearance or versatility of the more modern all-rounders ahead, and it is not as luggage-ready as the ADV and touring-style bikes on this list. It isn't trying to be. But dated and bad are not the same word. This bike isn't trying to be everything. It's trying to be a simple, dependable cruiser, and it succeeds at exactly that, without ever asking its owner for anything extra. Grom. Here's the bike that's probably going to get some of you arguing in the comments. The Grom starts at $3,599 or $3,799 with ABS, powered by a 124 cubic centimeter engine. On a spec sheet that reads like a toy, it isn't. The Grom makes a strong, fun per dollar case in Honda's lineup, backed by unusually strong aftermarket support, which helps keep ownership interesting after the sale. So why doesn't it rank even higher than this? Because there's a ceiling here, and it's a hard one. Speed and size limits mean the Grom can't be a serious-only motorcycle for many riders. Not a highway commuter, not a bike that grows with you the way some of the machines still ahead can. Know that going in, and the Grom is one of the smartest, cheapest ownership calls on this entire list. Ignore it, and you may find yourself shopping for something bigger sooner than expected. If you like rankings that look past the spec sheet and focus on what bikes are actually like to own, subscribe before we get into the top 4. And be honest, would you ever daily a Grom, or is it always a second bike? CRF300L Rally. Remember the distinction we made at number 10, Wanting real dirt commitment versus assuming a Honda badge makes everything easy. Here's the dirt bike that actually gets that balance right. The CRF300L Rally has a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $6,499 plus $600 destination, and it delivers low-stress dual-sport ownership that's dramatically easier and cheaper to live with than the CRF450RL. Yes, the power and suspension are more modest. This isn't a race bike, and it was never trying to be one. So why does a less capable dirt bike outrank a more capable one on this list? Because many riders shopping for a dual sport are better served by low-stress ownership than by competition-level demands. They want a bike that can handle a trail on Saturday and not punish them for it on Monday. This is what realistic ownership looks like, sitting next to maximum capability. And it's the answer to the question we opened this list with. Wanting the commitment is one thing. Getting a bike that matches what you actually want is another. For many people, buying a dual sport realistic wins. NX500. We're closing in on the top of this list now, and the next three bikes all share one thing in common. None of them are exciting on paper. That's exactly why they're here. The NX500 lists at $6,899 MSRP plus $600 destination for the 2026 model year. Its biggest strength is everyday versatility, not a headline spec, not a number that wins an argument in a comments section, just a bike that works for the way many people actually ride most days. It's built on a mature platform, it's affordable, and it carries fewer ownership compromises than many of the more specialized bikes on this list. No five-figure price tag, no steep learning curve compared with the heavier or more specialized bikes here. It won't get anyone's heart racing at a stoplight, and it was never trying to. Here's the pattern worth noticing as we climb. The higher this list goes, the less these bikes try to impress you, and the more they just work. That's not a coincidence. It's the entire argument of this video. The Rebel 500 takes that idea even further next, and the bike at number 1 takes it further still. Unglamorous, dependable, well-matched to real riding. That's what earns the NX500 the number 3 spot, and things are about to get more interesting. Rebel 500. Picture the most common first bike mistake. A new rider buys something small and unintimidating, outgrows it quickly, and may lose money upgrading. The Rebel 500 is one of the Hondas that helps prevent that mistake. Built on a 471 cubic centimeter platform with a low seat and beginner-focused ergonomics, the Rebel 500 is one of the strongest beginner to intermediate ownership picks in Honda's entire lineup. For many US riders, it's a stronger long-term choice than starting on a much smaller bike and upgrading quickly, which means fewer bikes bought, fewer bikes sold, and less money lost along the way. It's the difference between one purchase that lasts and two purchases that both feel like compromises. Is the comfort basic? Yes. Is the suspension simple compared with more advanced motorcycles? Also yes. No argument there, and no point pretending otherwise. But basic, low-cost, low-stress ownership is exactly what a huge number of riders actually need when they're starting out, and exactly what you need beats exciting almost every time on this list. That's what earns the Rebel 500 the number 2 spot. It's not the most thrilling Honda here. It may prevent one of the most common beginner mistakes, buying too small, then upgrading too soon. There's one Honda left that takes this same ownership-first philosophy and pushes it even further. That's next, and it's the entire reason this list exists. NC750X dual clutch transmission. And that brings us to the top of this list. It is not the fastest Honda, the biggest Honda, or the most famous Honda in the lineup. It was never going to be. If you have made it this far, you already know why. The NC750X dual clutch transmission is priced at $9,499 manufacturer's suggested retail price plus $600 destination, built around a 745 cubic centimeter engine with 23 liters of integrated storage built into the frame where a fuel tank would normally sit. Read that spec sheet on its own, and nothing about it screams excitement. That is the entire point of this ranking. What makes the NC750X dual-clutch transmission the best ownership-first Honda on this list is not one standout feature. It is that it combines real-world usefulness, dual-clutch transmission convenience, comfortable ergonomics, and 23 liters of storage into a single, low-stress package. It is extremely practical and easy to live with, not because it does one thing spectacularly, but because it covers many daily rider needs without the cost, weight, or specialization of the more extreme bikes here. Think back to the Goldwing at number 8, a phenomenal motorcycle that filters out many casual owners through cost, weight, and specialization. The NC750X does the opposite. It is approachable for a wide range of riders and asks less of them than the more specialized bikes here. Think back to the CRF300L at number 10 too, a bike that can frustrate riders who assume the Honda badge automatically means easy ownership. The NC750X is closer to what people imagine when they think of easy Honda ownership. Some riders will call it boring. They are not wrong, and that is not an insult. In ownership terms, boring can mean fewer surprises and fewer things getting in your way, which, after everything we have just seen on this list, might be one of the most valuable traits a motorcycle can have. It wins this list not because it is the most impressive machine Honda builds, but because it is one of the easiest Hondas here to live with year after year. So here's the truth this entire list has been building toward. The best Honda to own is not the fastest, the biggest, or the most legendary one in the lineup. Many riders still shop by reputation, chasing the biggest name or the most impressive spec sheet, assuming Honda reliable automatically means easy to own. It doesn't. Ownership is about fit, not fame. Apply that lesson, and you lower the chance of buying a motorcycle you regret later. You start buying motorcycles, you're more likely to be glad you kept long term. The smartest Honda in the garage is rarely the one that turns heads. It's the one you never have to think twice about. If this list changed how you'll shop for your next bike, subscribe, because the next one might save you from the exact mistake we just talked about.